Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Joy Mentor. I have an exciting guest for us today. Her name is Dr. Berni Sewell. She's from Austria, and she is a health scientist, energy healer, and self-worth blogger. Berni has a PhD in biomedicine and over 12 years of experience in health research, specializing in allergy, chronic pain, and cancer treatment, clinical guidelines, health technology assessment, and health economics, as if that weren't enough. As a scientist, she knows that a strong sense of worth will reduce your stress and anxiety levels, significantly improve your mental health, and allow your body to relax and heal. Healthy self-worth will boost your confidence and allow you to follow your dreams without self-doubt, negative self-talk, and fear of failure. She is on a mission to make sure that you feel good. Welcome, Berni. How nice to see you.
Hello. Lovely to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation.
I'm so excited to have you here. I absolutely love your work. And so I know it's going to really greatly benefit everyone to hear some of this today. So my first question for you is, where does a lack of self-worth and self-esteem come from? Where does it stem from?
Oh, this is a really good question. And it's difficult to pin down. But I think first of all, we need to talk about that there is actually a difference, a big difference between self-esteem and self-worth.
Okay.
We tend to, even if you're at the dictionary, you tend to see self-worth, other expression for self-esteem. That's not right at all. Self-esteem is what most of us are going for. So low self-worth is kind of indoctrinated and perpetuated by our society. And if you're asking me, where does it come from? I'd have to say from when our species first originated. And we had to be in groups. And in order to be in groups and to work in groups and in order to survive, we kind of had to have people who were in power, and they were worth more because they led us and our survival depended on it. And we had people who had more resources because that meant better chances of survival. We needed to look up to people who were healthier looking and better looking because their genes were probably better and our survival depended on it. And somehow in our society, that's still the same thing. We still look up to the people with power, the popular people, the pretty people. So our society evolved to be completely obsessed with externalities. How good looking we are, how much money we have, how much success we have, how many possessions we can accumulate. And there are criteria for everything. So you have to have that kind of success level to have worth, and you have to have that qualification to have worth. I studied all my life to have more worth because qualifications, I was told, give you more worth. But at the end of the day, that's what self-esteem is. Self-esteem is that we're looking at those criteria that society gives us. You have to be a size 4, you have to be that tall, you have to have a really slender face, and you have to have money, and you have to be this, and you have to do. And then I compare myself to those criteria, and I see, where am I? If I compare well, I feel good about myself. I have high self-esteem. If I compare badly, I feel bad about myself. So self-esteem is the level to which we fulfill those criteria that are set by society. And that's a roller coaster.
So Berni, can you help us understand the difference between self-esteem and self-worth?
Well, self-esteem is what we just said, how do we fulfill the criteria and how do we compare to other people? We are better than some people. We feel good about ourselves. We are not as good as other people. We feel bad about ourselves. And it's a complete roller coaster, because if I go to work And my coworkers say, oh, you look really nice today. Did you lose weight? And then my boss says, you did a really good job on that project. And I'm like, yes, I feel so good about myself. I get in the car, I drive home, I see the green light too slowly because I'm in my mind still rethinking all those good things that happened to me. The guy behind me honks at me and I'm like, oh no, he thinks I'm an idiot. And it goes like, and that's self-esteem. It's the roller coaster of, depending how well I fulfill the criteria, I feel about myself. Whereas self-worth is completely different. Self-worth is the awareness that, in fact, we don't have to earn any worth because we are worth. So self-worth means, or having healthy self-worth means that you know that worth is the essence of your being. It's part of who you are, and you're born 100% worth and you die 100% worth, and no mistake or failure or anything you do in between, no success or possession can ever change anything about it. And if you look at the tiny little baby, you just know that this tiny person is 100% worth. Yet they have no possessions, they have no qualifications, they have no wealth, but they are just worth. And that doesn't just disappear when we turn 4. It stays with us. But because our society believes in the worthlessness of all its members, we kind of we forget that we ever spoke that language, and we just think we're worthless when in fact we are worth. So I encourage everybody to just get back that awareness. You are worth. You don't have to have worth. You don't have to gain worth. Just get rid of self-esteem altogether. It's not going to get you anywhere. And try to get to this knowledge that you are worth personified.
I love that, Bernie, because really it's the difference between a human being and a human doing. And you're right, as a human being, we are magnificently worth all. I love the difference between the two. And it's true, in our busy lives, we forget that it's not about what we're doing, that we're inherently wonderful and worthy because we're here, simply because we're here. So I love that. Will you give us all some tips then on what we can do to increase our self-worth, like what we can do to feel better about ourselves, I guess would be a better way to pose that question. In general, are there things that we can do? And how do we remember that we're inherently self-worth all the time?
It's a process, because you have to, people always ask me, if I start to work on my self-worth, when will I be healed? And then I give them the dreaded answer, never. Because it's a lifestyle. Because even if I work on my self-worth, if I'm sure I'm worth, I know that worth is the essence of my being, I'm still kind of immersed in that worthlessness sludge of society that's all around me. You just need to watch a commercial, where a beautiful woman is in the sun and her lover, and they have a yacht and they are so happy, and you're thinking, oh, I have none of that. And then it says, buy this perfume, you can have it too. It's like, it's everywhere, and it sells, because the beauty industry, the fashion industry, the dieting industry, they would all die if we knew that nothing changes anything about our worth. So it's constantly perpetuated, and we need to constantly make sure we work on it. And there are several steps to it, because low self-worth has 4 distinct layers, and we need to work through all of those layers. And the first layer we need to work through is the unconsciousness layer. We don't even know anymore that we are worth. We are completely unaware. So we can't even work on it. And the thing is, low self-worth is the root of most of our suffering. Now, if we didn't have low self-worth, we didn't need to compare ourselves to others. We didn't need to feel like a fraud or feel inferior to others. wouldn't need to feel not good enough, or that we're disappointment, or we wouldn't have to fear failure or change. All of that would just go away. But we are completely unaware that we suffer from low self-worth, and that worth is the essence of our being. So that's the first step in getting back to healthy self-worth. And you've all now done that. Well done. So just keep working on it.
Very good.
The thing is, the mind is so used to it. The mind is so used to saying, I am worthless. I am not good enough. For the last 25, 35, 45, 55 years, that's what you said to yourself. And it will take a while. The mind learns by repetition. And just, whenever something comes up, I feel like a fraud. No, I am worth. Thank you, mind, but I now believe that I am worth. And that's just something that nobody can do for you. You just have to do that yourself over and over again, like with a little puppy that you're potty training. And the next layer is the societal layer, because worthlessness is all around us. We need to realize that society believes in our worthlessness, but that's not true. The reality we live in, it's like the Matrix. It's not actual reality. We are worth, and we need to see that worthlessness indoctrination everywhere. We need to start looking at those perfume commercials and saying, okay, they're basically saying, I'm not good enough the way I am, but if I buy their product, I get closer. And they are using my low self-worth, or thinking, okay, this corporate company is telling me I have to work 80 hours a week so I can have a bit more worth to them. But what they're basically doing is just getting profit out of me. So just seeing that worthlessness everywhere, seeing it in other people's behavior. I just told my friend, well, if you want to solve your problem, you could do this and this and that. And she got really upset with me. And then I'm like, is this my fault? And then I get upset, when in fact, I may have just given her the impression that what she's doing is wrong, and being wrong diminishes our worth. So kind of this belief that we're worthless is running our life, and we need to see it. We just need to be aware that it's there and see it everywhere. And once we've done that, we need to start working against it with I am worth. And it needs to become a habit. We need to get rid of that third layer of low self-worth, which is the habits we build around having low self-worth, like feeling criticized, feeling upset when we get criticized. Because when somebody criticizes us, what they're saying is, you're not good enough. And that makes us worth less. When in fact, okay, we can reframe that. Criticism helps me move forward. So working on those habits. And then we need to start working on those beliefs that we have, those thousands of beliefs that are saying, I'm not good enough, I'm a fraud, I'm a social misfit, people will always reject me, I'm unlovable. And just working on those. And it's a big ask. But if you just start with I am worth, whenever a worthlessness thought comes up, that will make a big change.
I like that so much, because really what you're saying is get in touch with the truth and see through some of the lies that are out there from our society. Because I think it's the same thing. I've studied a lot what happens when people compare themselves on social media, and they do that. They have this thing where, oh my gosh, look, that family looks perfect. The children are smiling, the husband's smiling in the photo. And I always tell people, right, but before that photo, the mom was probably chasing around the children, trying to get them in the photo. And the husband was like, are we done yet? Right. And so I love that, because it's really saying, like, to stop and look through the advertising, look through what we're seeing on social media, instead of accepting it exactly like it is, and be more realistic that there's more going on behind it. So
Yeah.
I love that way to frame it. And it's true, we all have our own whatever it is, right? I'm too short, I'm too this, I'm, whatever it is. And so much of it comes from when we're children. So that kind
Yeah.
of brings me to another question. And that is, what do you suggest we do with children to help them know that they are worth?
That's a tricky question. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she grew up with me as a mother, constantly telling her, you are great the way you are worth, you don't need to be like all the others, you don't need to have worth or gain worth. And I've told her that from when she was born. Still, she comes home from school, Mommy, I'm not pretty enough. Mommy, I'm not tall enough. Mommy, my clothes aren't cool enough. I'm like, oh my God, it's everywhere. And the thing is, we can't escape it. No, not in our lifetime, probably not in her lifetime. But with children, it's just really important to get them to not completely forget that language. Because if I'm saying to you, you are worth, you can feel the truth of it. And people tend to say to me, where's the proof? Where is the proof that I am worth? Do you have any proof? I don't. But do you have proof of your worthlessness?
Ah,
And then people say, yeah, but I'm a failure, and I have cheated, and I have made mistakes, and I have done this, and clearly that makes me worthless. So why? Why would that make you worthless? I used to believe as a teenager that I was not good enough, that I was worthless because I have a very round face. And it bothered me. It bothered me so much. What does my bone structure have anything to do with my worth as a person? And it's important to tell children just the thing, you are worth. And they just repeating it so they don't completely forget it as they grow up. And eventually, I'm doing energy healing techniques with my daughter. So we're doing different energy healing things to when she goes to school, just to make sure she doesn't take the energies of other people in so much. But that's all we can do, support them while they navigate that jungle of worthlessness out there. Just to remind them, you are worth it. Doesn't matter what your grades are. You're doing your best. As long as you're doing your best, saying I am worth is no excuse for slacking.
yeah.
It's no excuse for saying because people say, yeah, but I don't need to do anything then. No, you don't need to, but it's nice to, it's nice to have a purpose. You don't need to have a purpose to be worth, but it's nice to help people. It's nice to give your best, but you don't need to do it obsessively so you can prove your worth. You can do it because you enjoy it. And just giving your child that message again and again, so they grow up with that knowledge not completely buried.
Yeah.
I think it goes a long way. You can't avoid them getting in contact unless you move somewhere into the
Yeah,
jungle or something.
Siberia, somewhere on the right.
Yeah.
And then someone's going to show up and they're going to say something to them. It's funny. I told my daughter like all the time how beautiful she was. And I love today that I'll still say, Bonnie, you look so beautiful. And she says, I know, Mama. And I'm just like, wow, because that was just very opposite of the way that I was raised, right?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating because you're right. No matter, they're going to get those messages from the world, but it's what messages are we bringing? So I love that. I think it's important for our children and our grandchildren for us to do everything we can to celebrate their uniqueness, right? We all are like a beautiful snowflake. Every single one is different, which is astounding. And we're all perfect in that differences, not in the samenesses, but in the differences. But you had your round face. I had my big nose, Bernie. So there you go. I was sure of it, sure of it. Saw it in a school picture and believed it for years. So my
Yeah.
next question is, would you please help us understand the four competence, not competencies, but things in common for happiness? Like, what are those common beliefs for happiness? Because I know, like, for instance, one of them is Remember your worth, which we were just talking about. You are inherently worthy. And
Yeah.
the next one is your thoughts and beliefs create your reality. So I'm hoping you can expand on that for us.
Yes. So the thing is, there is some kind of a mental cycle that creates your reality, and that turns quickly into a vicious cycle. Because what the mind does, the mind is a tool, and the mind is meant to protect us. It evolved to guarantee our survival, like society did. And in order to guarantee our survival, it needs a few things. First of all, it needs data. It needs data from the past, from society, to know what's danger and what could cause harm and what didn't. So it stores all data of past trauma, for example. And when it finds itself in a situation that is similar to a situation where we experienced trauma or danger or harm before, it will send alarm bells, sound, whoa, this is a situation and this reminds us. And sometimes we call us, we're triggered by something. It's the mind saying, danger, 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 this is a situation we had before. And because of this past trauma and societal worthlessness beliefs that we're having, they shape our thoughts. So the mind will think, I'm not good enough. I need to be careful not to make a mistake, because if I make a mistake, I lose worth. And it will go on and on and on. And if our thoughts repeat constantly, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, it turns into a belief. And then our beliefs shape our actions. I'm not good enough. I'm not even gonna go for that promotion because I'm never gonna get it. And I start a new job and I know nobody will like me. And then I behave in a way oddly or distant or whatever. So people stay away from me, which is my experience. So my thoughts shape my beliefs determine my actions and behavior, and then my behavior creates my experiences. And those experiences confirm in me the thoughts and beliefs I had. So I started a new job. I am convinced nobody will like me. So I'm behaving awkwardly towards everybody, stay away, don't really talk to them because they're not going to be interested in me anyway. So everybody believes I'm arrogant because, I don't even talk to them. They stay away from me. And I think to myself, I knew it. I knew it. I knew that they would reject me. And that reinforces my beliefs. And it goes downwards and downwards and downwards. And somewhere along the line, we need to cut that cycle. And we need to just say to our mind, first of all, we need to stop identifying with the mind. Because in fact, there are two entities living in our head. And I know that's not very socially acceptable. When you say, I hear the voices in my head, it's not really good.
But we all do.
But it is exactly what we should do. Because the mind isn't us. The mind is just this tool that says, danger, danger, danger. And we think that's us. And we kind of take over that negative thing. Because how often do people say to me, I just don't seem to be able to think positively. I try it, but the negativity always takes over. Yes, because you're letting your mind control your thinking. And the mind has to be negative. The mind evolved to keep us safe. The mind can't say to the caveman, go on, man, take on that that mountain lion. I know you can do it. He would get himself killed. The mind needs to say, don't think you're good enough. I don't think you're strong enough. I think you should rather stay here, be safe. That's the mind's job. That's why we constantly have that not good enough. That's the mind trying to protect you. But then there has to be a second person in there, you, who says, I really appreciate you, mind, and I appreciate you keeping me safe. But, I now want to believe that I'm lovable, that I won't be rejected this time. I want to go to these people and I want to talk to them and just see what happens. And the mind will say, we can't. And you just have to say, okay, no, we just try it out. Let's try it out. So it's like this constant, it's like one of my students said, it's like parenting yourself. So the mind needs constant parenting and constant, it's okay, honey, go over there, play something, let the adults talk. So it's about splitting your personality, really.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's how you get out of this circle of the mind just taking over, negativity taking over, because that's what the mind does. But
I love
and you can never stop it. You can just learn to ignore it.
Yeah, if you don't, and that's if you think it's you, and I think that's one of the largest problems, right? Is that people believe that their mind is them, and they just haven't been aware that, for one thing, it's created in the past, to your point, and then secondly, it's here to help us survive. So I know one of the things that you talk about is that happiness can only be experienced in the now. So I'm wondering if you'll expand a little bit on that for us.
Well, the thing is, I'm a big fan of Eckhart Tolle, and Eckhart Tolle wrote the book The Power of Now. It's fairly advanced, but if you haven't read it and you're interested, get a hold of it. It's really good. And the thing is, the now is all we have. So if you can't live in the past, you can't live in the future, but the mind does. The mind lives nowhere but the past and the future, because it needs the past data to forecast situations, and it needs to think about where could the dangers be, where could they be. So if you are identified with your mind, you live either in the past or in the future. But there is just trauma in the past, because the mind will just ruminate around the trauma that happened. And there's just worries in the future, because that's what the mind does. It worries about dangers. So if you allow your mind to take control, you either live in the past or in the future. Whereas happiness is now. And the time to take action is now. And reality is now. The past isn't reality. The future is at best a movie you're making up in your mind. How often have you worried about something and it never happened? I remember rehearsing whole conversations in my head night after night after night that I would eventually have maybe the next day, which never happened. That's just the mind. But the now is where you can feel joy, where all the trauma and all the worries just fall away, and you can do that. It's not realistic to say, okay, I'm now going to live in the now. We have responsibilities, and we have things to plan, and we can't just switch it off. But once, twice, 3, 4 times a day, just take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and focus on the silence. And once you focus on the silence, it's just what you hear outside, the birds, or you're in the now. And the more often you do that, the more you will feel from deep down something coming up, a lightness. And that's what you want to go for. That's what you want to do more often. Just take a breath. And in our society, also, it's not very popular to take a break. You're lazy or you're slacker, but it's absolutely vital that you take a breath, to focus yourself on the now. It will help with anxiety. It will help with worries. It will help with overwhelm. The mind gets overwhelmed so quickly. And then what happens is emotional imbalance, anger outbursts, crying fits. Just when you don't know, why am I suddenly so irritable? It's because you need rest, and it's not selfish to rest, and it's not lazy to rest. It's absolutely vital. It's non-negotiable. And part of that rest is to just focus yourself for a moment or two until the mind starts blah, 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 blah. don't be that upset at the mind. Just do it for a moment. Be in the moment. Be here, be now. And you'll feel just how everything falls off and you feel peace. And the thing is with happiness, we think happiness is that constant feeling of bliss and joy. No, happiness is more, for me, it's more a peace of mind. You know, just feeling at ease, feeling light, feeling worth. That's happiness. And you can have that.
That's a beautiful description of happiness that you just gave
You
us.
can have that, you know, whenever you sit down, take a breath and focus yourself on the now. And then it just bubbles up from the depths.
I love that, Bernie. That is honestly, it is. That is that feeling. People ask me a lot, like, why am I so joyous? Like, why am I just consistently in the state? But because I'm at peace, I'm not at war with myself. And so it comes. So I absolutely love that. And I think there can't, when we fall into the now, I let people know, like, listen to your senses, like listen and then smell, right? Even taste something to help you ground yourself in this beautiful moment. When you do that, it's amazing how you can return to that feeling of well-being. So I love that you're talking about that. And can you talk a little bit about what we can do to help our anxiety when we're feeling very anxious and our mind is bullying us?
I think I suffered from severe anxiety for many, many, many years. And the thing is, it comes all from the mind being overwhelmed. Because basically the mind has about the mind is wonderful. It does a lot of things, but it's not meant to lead. It's not meant to run our life. And it gets so overwhelmed when it has to run our life. And when it gets overwhelmed, in your energy body, so you have a physical body and you have an energy body. And when the mind gets overwhelmed, the stress causes the pressure in your energy body to rise. And when the pressure rises, at some point it becomes harmful to our health. And just like fear is a reaction to a danger coming from outside, like a mountain lion or an axe murderer or whatever it is, anxiety is a warning that there is danger on the inside, that the internal pressure has become so high that it's causing harm. So anxiety is that flashlight saying, emergency, emergency, emergency. And the longer you ignore it, the louder it will shout, because it needs you to hear it, because it wants to warn you from a danger that's internally. So what I found the best way to get rid of anxiety is to reduce your stress levels. And for me, that was by realizing my worth, because my stress levels came from, I need to be better, I need to be more perfect, I need to achieve more, I need to be more, I need to be prettier, and other people are judging me. Oh my God, they're judging me. They're disapproving of me, and that causes so much stress. There is that, you know, that's so much stress, and at the end of the day, you get into anxiety. So what I recommend to everybody is, first of all, grounding. Grounding helps with anxiety by just imagining once a day that you're growing roots from the soles of your feet down deep into the earth and drawing up earth energy. And that will ground you down. It gives you stability. You feel more rooted and the anxiety gets less. But also work on your self-worth. Remind yourself that you are worth. To reduce that achievement stress, that performance anxiety that we have all the time. And one more thing is, it's important to have space around you. Your energy body needs to be wide. There needs to be space between you and other people. And for most of us, we contract because we want to be safe. Because we lack grounding, we feel unsafe. And we want to have this feeling of safety by basically doing this on an energetic level. But now there is no space between us and the other person, which makes everything so much more threatening. So those are the 3 things I did. I grounded, I worked on my self-worth, and every day I expanded my energy field. Just deep breath, and then I just imagined moving my energies away from me and moving them out further away. And that helped me, and that cured me. You know, I feel still anxiety sometimes in situations where I have to give a conference presentation or something, but no longer in daily life. But again, that's something you need to work on. So many people are looking for this wonder pill or this wonder thing that will just make it all disappear. And I'm really sad to say it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's taken so long for you to get where you are. You just need to keep working on it. Be patient with yourself. You're not a failure if in 2 weeks you're not healed. Just keep going, and every day will get easier. And after 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, you wake up in the morning and you find, oh wait, I'm okay today. And that's what you want to go for, and not tomorrow I need to be healed. It doesn't work like that.
I love that. I say, Bernie, if I had a magic wand, I would absolutely hit you with it, but I don't have one. So instead, they're probably going to need to do the work. And the work is not awful, but it just needs to be repetitive enough for the mind to pick up on it and start believing that that's our new self, right? That's our new being. So I love that. You have literally told us so beautifully that we are enough. And that's the message that I want everyone to hear, to remember, and to know, is that no matter what they're being told on the outside, you and I are both saying they are enough in this beautiful moment. They are enough, just like they are without the improvement plan. So thank you so much for that. I want everyone to know that, Bernie, would you tell them about your free gift that you're giving everyone?
Yes, so for everybody who's interested to kickstart their healing journey to healthy self-worth, I offer a healthy self-worth starter kit. So that has a 7-day self-worth booster email course where I just talk you through how low self-worth is the root of your struggles, how you can get over the low self-worth, how you can instantly boost your self-worth and feel better about yourself and get onto the journey towards a healthier level of worth where you feel better about yourself, knowing that you are worth. And that also, the starter kit also contains a workbook with a little bit about my story and 4 action steps that you can take, and a discover your true worth guided meditation just to relax and take the rest that is not selfish and increase your self-worth that way. And yeah, that's my free gift.
Thank you so much. And everyone, Dr. Bernie's website is right down here below, as well as the link to her free gift. So please, everyone, make sure you go and look at the incredible self-worth resources that are available to you all. Dr. Bernie, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your gift of generosity with this and wonderful message of the fact that they are enough and that we are all worth. Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much.